much easier. But that's the way these programs go. Now veterans and service-disabled veterans are part of it, where strategic alliances and all kinds of things. But in the old days, you remember that you just weren't big enough. You weren't big enough. We found you, but you weren't big enough. Now it's come full circle. We can't find you. We cannot find you. And so when I use the example of minority-owned companies, I can use that same example for veteran-owned companies. In fact, who knows the difference in the definition between a big company and a small company? I'm going to tell you how Wall Street designates it. Billy can tell you how the SBA designates it, but I'm going to tell you how Wall Street designates it. If you're not doing $1 billion, you're a small company. And pretty soon, if you're not doing $5 billion or $10 billion, you're a small company, because things have gotten much bigger out here. But if you take a look, 82% of all minority firms had annual revenues of 100 grand or less. That's small. 82% of minority companies are very small companies. 97% of all minority firms had revenues of less than $1 million. Less than $1 million. So only 3% of minority firms were $1 million or more. So the landscape is very important, because what that tells me is there's plenty of opportunity for growth. To me, that's not a negative situation, that's a positive situation, because you can go out and find a whole lot of partners now. But one thing is, don't go find another broke company, because 2 broke companies become a bigger broke company. The SBA commissioned the Bureau of the Census to do a lot of studies. One of them was the small business economy. In 2007, the census of, I used to work for the Census Bureau, by the way. When I left the government, I was a GS-15. Some people call me stupid. And I suffered for a long time till I got that 15 salary back. But I'm very glad to have had the experience of working for the federal government, because I know what it's like on the inside. And I worked for major corporation for 27 years. So I've got a lot of experience on the inside. And I know I don't look like it, but I'll be 64 in a couple of weeks. In case y'all saying how that young boy get all that experience out there. But anyway, research is key. And you all, as Joe said, you got Google, you got computers. If you, for some reason, don't know how to work one, somebody in your household does, or your next door neighbor, or your church, or the library, go down and start researching your business. How many right now do not know what your NAICS code is? Now, you don't have to raise your hand, just think about it. If you don't know what your NAICS code is, you got to go start. But there's a lot of information out there, and it talks about a lot of things. But if you look at veteran-owned companies and service-disabled veteran-owned companies, there's a lot of information out there. There are a lot of us out there. The statistics bear that out. I encourage you to go and work with the SBA and other agencies and go on your own to research this. And you can even drill it down, as you see, veteran-owned firms by the percentage of the kind of business you're in. You need to know that. How many other people are in the same business you are? And where is it crowded and where isn't it crowded? And why am I in this business in the first place? And these are concepts that we explore in Are You Ready for the Game?, which is a half-day workshop, and Is Your Business in the Game?, which is a 2-day workshop. But as you can see, you can even get more granular than this. And it's key and important that you concentrate on the landscape. And when you ask the question, is your business in the game, are you ready for the game, you got to be able to cite this. You got to be able to tell people what does your field look like? Not just in Louisville, but what does it look like? And so you got to do these kinds of things. So really quickly, fundamentals first, the new business landscape. These are all concepts that everybody in this room has to have buttoned down. You got to have them buttoned down. A.G. Gaston, which was I don't know if you know who A.G. Gaston was, but he was one of our early African-American multi-millionaires. He said, a man who can't afford to lose has no business gambling. That's right. And if you're in business, you write that check to start that business, or you borrow $500 from grandma, or however you did it, I don't care what you say, how smart you are with your Harvard degree or MIT, it's a gamble. you might as well follow me back home to Las Vegas and I'll take you down to Caesar's Palace. It is a gamble. But you got to have the fundamentals first. And what fundamentals first means, you got to invest in the basics. You can't show up to the VA or some of these agencies and just say, what y'all got for me today? I'm in the trucking business. Got any trucking? And believe me, that question goes down many, many, many times a day. So, fundamentals first. Invest in the basics. What does that mean to invest in the basics? You gotta start with the fundamentals. Now, how many of you have been down to the local SBA office this month? Couple. How about in the last 6 months? How about the last year? How many of you have never been to the SBA office? Tell the truth. And this is not meant to be a disparaging remark, but you must be all big businesses then, right, if you haven't been. Because by virtue of the fact that it's pretty self-explanatory what that acronym stands for, SBA. You can follow me home and I'll take you to my library in my office at home. I've got more books and manuals and reports and documents and studies and all stuff. Now I got them all online. And you know how much it costs me? Parking fee down at the parking lot to get to the SBA. It's free. And they got these guys walking around who spent a lifetime making mistakes on somebody else's dime. They can advise you on how not to make the same mistake they made. Retired executives and a whole organization that's matched up with the SBA. So if you have any question about the business that you are attempting to get into or to grow, and you haven't been down to the SBA to explore it, I can tell you that you are not in the game. You may not be even ready for the game, because that is a resource that you cannot afford to overlook. It is the best and most principal resource that people like us in business have to take advantage of. There's a goodness in people, and I always throw that kind of stuff in, the goodness stuff, because we forget that we're human beings. We're not plants or animals, but there's something in all of us that if you reach out somewhere, you will find somebody that wants to help you. And that's what separates us from all others. And if you're not exploring that, you're missing a good opportunity. But remember, this is what the deal is all about today. There's a new landscape, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have websites? Once you put that website out, you are now global. And what this shows you is the new business landscape. You are now a part of that entire thing. You may have competitors or collaborators anywhere on the face of the earth. And you got to understand that. It's a new business landscape, and we teach that at the Vets Group program. Are you ready for the game, and is your business in the game? We're going to show you how to navigate the landscape, because there's some new understanding. The changing paradigms of procurement are out there. It's not like it used to be, and I'm sure many of you already know a lot of this stuff. But we want to reinforce it. It's like any other learning. You have to reinforce learning. You have to live what you're trying to grow, your knowledge base. But you have global competitiveness, technology enablers, industry restructuring, and you have something called TQM, total quality. There's a concept called the total cost of ownership. You sell somebody something for $9.95. That's just part of the issue. You have to know certain things about how does that $9.95 affect the supply chain that you're selling to, because that person has to warehouse, they have a whole lot of things to do. You have to learn that, and we'll equip you with the tools to do that. The third question, what game are you in? What business are you really in? Are you all dressed up? You got the best bats, the best batting coaches, the best pictures, the best everything, the best uniforms. You got the strongest batters, the best pitchers, the best catchers. You bought a new team bus. You drive up to the stadium. You all get out, all gung-ho, ready to play. And you walk into the stadium and you look at this goalpost in there. You ready for baseball, but you showed up to the football stadium. You must know that there's a playing field, and there's all kinds of things happening to us every day. You're in the big league or you're the minor league. Are you at the college level? Are you the Pony League, Pop Warner? Where are you? And be honest about it. There's a whole lot of assessment tools out there that can tell you where you are here. Most of us are not in the big league. Most of us are not in the big league. And we go and delve deeply into this whole concept of what is the big league, what is the minor league, how do I get in and out of each one? Because what happens is, when you look at the supplier pool in relationship to it being a game, a playing field, what you really want to do is elevate yourself up into the top tier critical products or mission critical. And it will not happen overnight. But if you don't understand where you are in this quadrant, and are you happy there? Somebody told me that some people have something called lifestyle business. They only want to make $25,000 a year, as far as they want to go. When I meet one of those people, I'm going to run as fast as I can in the opposite direction. But you have to understand that, and we extensively train on this. And this is not an overnight thing. These are things that encompass some of the things that we incorporate with the SBA and some of the other agencies and some of our specific training. And so the challenge is to develop sufficient capacity. And if you don't know what sufficient capacity is, we give you the tools to figure it out. The secret